I'm writing this because I keep starting conversations in my head that I don't finish out loud, and at some point that becomes its own kind of weight. I'm not writing it to you specifically. I don't think I could, but I need somewhere to put it, so here it is. You should know that I wasn't surprised. That's the part I keep returning to. Not the exclusion itself, but my own lack of shock at it, when my mother called the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and explained, carefully, in the tone she uses, when she has rehearsed something, that Kevin didn't want me there because his girlfriend came from a certain kind of background and he was worried that my work. She said your situation, which is the word she uses when she means my job but doesn't want to say it directly, might create an awkward impression. I said, I understand. She paused. She expected more from me. An argument, maybe, or the particular wounded silence that would let her play mediator. I didn't give her either. I just said I understood and I told her to enjoy the dinner. And I hung up and stood in my kitchen for a moment looking at the refrigerator. I work in electrical infrastructure. I have for 11 years. I hold certifications that took me 4 years to earn, and that most people couldn't pass on the third attempt. I make a good living. I own my apartment. None of that has ever translated cleanly at my family's table, where success is measured in job titles that sound impressive at dinner parties. And Kevin has always been fluent in that language. And I have not. This is not a new story. I'm aware of that. Thanksgiving was quiet. I made a small version of a meal. Enough for myself, not performatively sparse. I watched something I'd been meaning to watch for months. I went to bed at a reasonable hour. I did not spend it feeling sorry for myself, which I want to be clear about. I spent it the way I spend most of my own company, adequately. Possibly better than adequately. The day passed the way days do, when you stop waiting for them to be something they aren't. The truth arrived on Sunday. I learned it not from my family but from a message. The girlfriend, whose name is Amber, had apparently spent part of Thanksgiving asking Kevin questions about me. Specific questions. Because Amber works in municipal contract oversight for the city, and she had, over the past 2 years, reviewed and approved 3 major infrastructure bids. And she recognized my name. Not from Kevin. From the documentation. I had been the certifying engineer on 2 of them. She had, by Kevin's account, expressed genuine interest in meeting me, had said, apparently, that the work on the Henderson Street project was some of the cleanest documentation her office had processed in years. Kevin had not mentioned this to my parents at the table. He had, instead, said something that contradicted what he'd originally told them. About why I wasn't invited. Some revision that didn't hold together once my mother started asking questions. By Sunday afternoon, they had put enough of it together to be angry. They came to my door at 4 o'clock. Both of them. My father, Gerald, gets quieter. When he's upset, he stood slightly behind my mother, which is what he does when something has gone sideways, and he hasn't decided whose side to take. My mother, Carol, had the expression she wears when the story she told herself has been revised by facts. And she hasn't finished processing the revision. She said Kevin had misled them. She said they hadn't known. She said things might have been handled differently. I stood in the doorway and listened. I want to be honest. There was something in me that wanted to say I know. I told you. I always told you, in every way except out loud, that this was how it worked. But that sentence would have required them to receive it. And I have learned over many years that the people who most need to hear a thing are frequently the least equipped to. So I said, I appreciate you coming. My mother looked at me. Something moved across her face. Not quite guilt, but the shadow of it. I told them I had plans. I said we could talk another time. They left. I closed the door and stood in my hallway for a moment, not in triumph, not in grief. Just in the particular stillness of a person who has been waiting a long time for something to be seen, and has now watched it be seen, and discovered that the seeing doesn't fix as much as you thought it would. Amber sent a message that evening. She said she'd heard some of what had happened and she was sorry if she'd inadvertently caused a disruption. She asked if I'd be interested in coffee sometime. She was involved in a new project in the spring and thought there might be a conversation worth having. I replied that I'd be glad to. I have not spoken to Kevin. I don't have a position on Kevin yet. He is my brother, And he is also someone who looked at the facts of my life and calculated that they were a liability. People who love you don't run those numbers. I'm still deciding what to do. With the distance between those two things. Some decisions don't need to be made today. This one can wait until I'm ready to make it cleanly.